What is up? This is Colonial Puppet, and this is 46, episode 46 of the Let's Build a Stadium series. Sorry, I just had a brain fart right when I hit record. When we left off, we did the long end of the field, the bottom floor, I think. Right? Yes, it was this bottom floor. Now we're going to do this top floor right here. And we'll just jump right into it. Same thing, starting off pretty much the same way. Let's break this. Let's select that, and then that. Set 251. Alright. Just kind of get this started. Do this all the way down. Kind of wanted to talk about a question someone asked me in the other, in like one of my live streams, about what I think of Apple. I kind of went off on a tangent. They're thinking about how I felt about the company, or asking how I felt about the company. And I thought that'd be something interesting to talk about. Because right now, the big current event with Apple is their new Mac Pro. They finally came out. They refreshed the Mac Pro, which has been kind of just untouched since 2013. I remember in freshman year of college when that first dropped. Like the first images of the trash can Mac is what they called it, because it was just that black trash can shaped thing. Looked pretty interesting in retrospect, or like after, and just looking at it after it launched and after it was around for a while. Kind of I think I never really, I used it at school. We had one in one of the recording studios. I mean, it was just like, it was a Mac. I had the Mac operating system and everything, so that was good. In terms of people who actually got like their hands on it and were able to like upgrade it and stuff, I remember people saying that the upgradability wasn't that great, and that just the fact that Apple kind of released this thing and never did anything with it was kind of a bummer. But they finally came out with a new one, and it's kind of reminiscent of the like G5 tower, G4 and G5 tower, which is like the aluminum, like the popular cheese grater Mac is what they called it. It's what I have. I have a G5 actually, for the time being, although I think it's going to somewhere else to be used in a lab at a school. But it was a really popular Mac, really beloved Mac, loved by professionals. My school still had them well into their lifespan. And they finally kind of released something new that was very much like that. And yeah, everyone's pissed off about the stand, or like making fun of the fact that the stand is like $1,000. And it's kind of funny because it really makes me miss, well, not really miss, but it kind of makes you appreciate what Steve Jobs did, like at like Macworld and like all the Mac events. Because it's not like he wouldn't have let that happen. It's just that he would have sold it so much better than it was sold on this stage. Because the screen they came up with is like, from what I hear, an insanely good screen at a pretty good price point comparatively. to like other like Sony products that have like worse specs than the screen they have. Like there's like professional screen, like it's a professional screen, and the other professional screens on the market that compare spec wise are like thousands and thousands of dollars more while getting less. So it's a really good screen. It's just Steve Jobs was really good at selling products. If you watch his keynotes, if you watch his like Mac events, he's just like, it's funny, he almost sounds like Donald Trump sometimes, but because he says like a whole lot of, you know, just like buzzwords that like if you kind of think about them, they're like, wow, that just kind of, that's like a baseless just like selling point. It doesn't really mean anything. But he was really good at kind of captivating an audience and really selling the product. Even if like after the fact, like the G4 Cube's a good example where like it wasn't that powerful, it was really expensive, and it overheated. But I mean, like if you watch that, you can watch that keynote where he introduces that Mac today and still want it, even though it's like decade-old tech. So if Steve Jobs was around and had to sell this this screen and stand that everyone's making a fuss about, like we wouldn't be talking about it really. We'd be talking about how great it is. We wouldn't really be talking about how the stand is $1,000 and then Apple's like really out of touch. I mean, they're not to say there wouldn't be any critics, but I mean, the way they worded it sounds funny, and like they really kind of drew attention to the fact that you're spending $1,000 on a screen stand, and really it should have been just like a cost saving measure, because like again, it's a professional screen. A lot of people have face mounts or whatever already, and it's like this screen is not only well priced competitively, but you can save even more money by just lopping off the stand, and that's another $1,000 off your price tag for a screen that's miles better than the competition at a fraction of the cost. I'm a little, in terms of the Mac Pro, I'm a little sad that it's so expensive, even with all that said. But I mean, it's a their prices have definitely gone up. Like the big thing about, it's like the Mac Mini, when it launched, it was like $499 for a Mac Mini. The whole concept of a Mac Mini was to get a low-powered, bare-bones Macintosh and get people interested in the Mac platform, and really give them no reason to buy it. Anyone that was on the fence about a Mac would have no reason not to buy it because of how insanely cheap it was and easy to use it was. So they sold the Mac. They came up with the Mac Mini, sold it for like $499 for the base model, $599 for the slightly beefier version. And it's like now they just replenished the Mac Mini, and it's like I think over $1,000. And I'm not really good with money, so I don't know if that's just like inflation. But still, like I paid over $1,000 for this laptop, and it's like a pretty beefy computer with a GTX 1060, 16 gigs of RAM, you know, quad core processor. And it's like the Mac Mini version of that would be a lot more expensive. Alright. I also don't like how they've I wish they had touch capabilities in their laptop displays. I think like the touch bar is a little underwhelming. Kind of, I haven't really seen the one place where I've seen like that tech justified was in the ZenBook that I think I forget if it's Asus. They just released like a dual screen laptop, and it's in the same position as as the touchpad or the touch bar in the MacBooks, but it's an actual like display that takes up a lot more space and is actually usable as like a second display. And like I'm starting to see functionality in that like actually justifies the technology. Whereas Apple, I feel like they didn't. Apple's like MO has always been taking existing technologies or like emerging technologies and like really understanding them and like kind of just like condensing them into the ideal user experience and like really just kind of like so like the touch bar, for example, or the not the touch bar, the touchpad on laptops. Like they're the first people to have a touch bar in their laptops, and right now I would argue that they have the best touch bars in the industry with like the multi-touch gestures and all that stuff. It's like they kind of pioneered that and like really honed in on the technology and justified it. Whereas with the touch bar, I think they just kind of came up with this kind of gimmick that they didn't really follow through with and didn't really kind of work with to make it into anything kind of whole and like self-evident, if that makes sense. Like other companies are starting to, like same with like the iPhone, like the notch in the iPhone X. It's like I honestly I probably shouldn't talk about that because I haven't really used a iPhone X, but it feels like with the notch it seemed kind of haphazard and not very elegant, I guess you could say, which is like usually their MO is elegance and ease of use, you know, an intuitive design. Or again with the touch bar and the notch, it's like I feel like the intuition is kind of not fully realized in any of these products. But in terms of like, I don't know, that's like the only problems I have with Apple. It's like some of their projects seem not fully realized, and the pricing's a little crazy, especially with their MacBooks and whatnot. And also just how they update their computers. Like I remember the iPad Air like wasn't updated since like 2011, and you could still buy it brand new for like way too much money. Like I think the price point didn't change ever with the MacBook Air, so like you're still spending like over $1,000 on a laptop with like a dual core and like a TN panel. So it's like they make really questionable choices sometimes. That's my spew on Apple and how I feel they are right now. It's also just kind of boring. It just seems like they're releasing Pro everything. And kind of like it does kind of feel like I don't think we're at the late 90s stage of Apple right now, where they were kind of just releasing like having a confused product lineup, just like a bunch of random stuff that people can keep track of. We're far from that. But like, you know, Steve Jobs came back with like a very straightforward, like it started with like a Foursquare product strategy where it was like 4 squares, 2 of them Pro and 2 of them consumer products, 1 portable, 1 desktop. And so you had the iMac and the iBook and the Power Mac, and I think it was the PowerBook. And like that, those were like the only 4 products they had. Then they started introducing like the iPod, iPhone, before that there was like the they split the what did they do? I think they added 2 more squares and made it like a 6 square thing where it was like pro, consumer, and portable, and each got 2 variations of a product. I forget, but it was still a very straightforward product line. All right. And I think Steve Jobs did a really good interview when it was like that era of Apple where they were like shit was hitting the fan and they were going bankrupt, or they were about to be. I think it was Spindler was the CEO. He wanted to put someone to buy out Apple. It was getting that bad because they had too many products. It was kind of confusing the market. There's like the Performa series that was really cheap and like just like Macintosh 2s. The compact Macs were still a thing. Just like a whole bunch of weird products. Confused product line. And like no real innovation. And Steve Jobs was like, they took the Macintosh and they milked it basically without actually trying to innovate. And they knew with the Macintosh they were going to need to spend a lot of time building a user base. And so they really weren't going for profits, like huge profits. They were just going for, thin margins over a long period of time while building a user base for their platform, which is the Macintosh, or what they decided was their platform. They had the Apple II too, but they kind of focused more on the Mac. But then they started going for more profits and kind of didn't really innovate and just kind of kept releasing computer after computer. It just kind of confused the consumer, and Apple almost became insolvent. Maybe the same thing can be said about Apple now, especially in their like mobile division with like the iPhone and like the new iPhone every year and like the variations of the iPhone and all that. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it was in the 90s, but they were making record profits up until recently, and now it's like the iPhones are having trouble selling, to the point where they're kind of the fact that they even like are looking at the Pro market with the new Mac Pro. It's definitely a good move that I applaud, but for a while there I feel like Apple was the phone company and not really a computer company, outside maybe their laptops. Alright. Got that. Now let's see. This actually work? Actually, yeah, that'll work fine. So we're gonna do this. We're actually not gonna have a door on these because we can't, because there's a stair right there. That's fine. We can live with that. We'll just have it be open. And I need to drink some stuff. When I go on tangents, I lose my voice pretty quick. One thing I really like about what Apple's doing right now is their privacy stance. When it seems like a lot of other big companies are, kind of pushing towards like selling user data and whatnot, Apple's kind of firm in their stance that like user privacy is most important, which is true. I mean, like, I feel like in the long run, maybe I'm like too optimistic about the consumer not being stupid, but maybe in the end, people will value their privacy and put that before, I don't know, other stuff, or put that higher up in their priority list. Because Apple's security is pretty top notch in the industry. Alrighty. So we did that. Now we're gonna put in these. Same thing as the floor below us, just kind of putting in these doorways that kind of lead out to the main hallway area. And this looks like it's the skybox floor, which we're not going to do the details for this episode. We're going to wait until that's like the last episode we're going to do, when we kind of add in the finishing details. Let's get some doors as well. Fill them in here. Something like that, all the way down. Alright, getting there. We got two more sections. Then we're going to put in the walls, kind of separate all this. And I can't forget, there's one more place we need to do. Two more, actually. I wonder how many rooms are going to be in this. If anyone wants to count, keep count, that'd be pretty cool. See how many rooms are in this entire build. Probably like at least 100. Alright, now gotta do these as well. Add a here. I think we only need one doorway. Same thing at the other end. Delicious apple juice from Starbucks. I've been working there for so long that like I'm just down to like drinking that apple juice and like water there. Once you like try all the drinks and like realize how much sugar goes into them, you're just kind of like, I'll just have an apple juice. I'm good. Don't give me anything sugary. Alrighty, now we need to start walling this stuff off, so just kind of like set that. Two, three, four. So having doorways, we've been having these openings. Then here. Try my best to center them as well. All right. Cool. And I think that's it. Oh wow, yeah, that's it. Cool. Now we just need to do lighting, I think. And we're good. Making good time. Alrighty. Kind of same thing we did. Alrighty. So there. Oops. There we go. Now here we can put a right there. Count 3 from the corner. And just 3 apart all the way around. Just go from there. Very simple pattern to use to light up the rooms. And it's good. These rooms are actually kind of like normal height as opposed to the rooms we've been doing that are like 12, 13 blocks tall or whatever. So like the light doesn't really reach the ground too well. Which is kind of annoying. But what are you gonna do? Ready? Cool. Usually if there's three or four blocks of space, I put in like a single light strand, like I did just then. I guess that would be 5 blocks. Five or more. There we go. Something like that. And this room. Same thing over here. I guess that's it for that one. Alright. Oh no, I lost. No. There we go. 2, 3. Guess we don't need glass anymore. And as you go, the rooms get smaller and smaller, so it gets easier and easier, which is nice. It's like a bell curve of difficulty. Start off with tiny rooms, then as the building kind of curves outward, you have more area to cover, and then it comes back in, so it goes back down to easy. Which is nice. Alright. I think this is the last one, right? Yeah. And we started from the corner. So like right there. Something like that. Alrighty. Now, normally we'd be done there. Actually, no, we wouldn't. We have to do this. Now we have to go through and finish the trim. I'll actually double check if I did that last episode. I'm not sure if I did. I put trim on all these walls. Might have. Actually, wait. I just realized something. You can do this entire area. Even though it is pretty tedious, it hurts my hands. We'll do it anyway. There we go. I wonder if anyone who watches this gets ASMR from the clicking of the keys. I wouldn't like... I'm not trying to overplay it at all. It's just so freaking hard to build on keyboard and mouse with the original Java version of Minecraft because it's just so garbage how they do it. It's like they figured it out on console. I've said this like a million times, I know, but I'll stop saying it when it stops being true. This is awful to build on. I prefer Windows 10. 100%. The only thing keeping me from switching over there completely is the lack of mod support and the whole Minecraft realm BS, and just kind of like being able to render your maps and like it's a lot more open-ended on the Java version, I think. But who knows, that might not be the case for long. I don't know if there is any. I feel like it's a pretty secure kind of platform they got, not really open to like third-party software like Chunky and whatnot to open to people who want to like load their maps in the 3D editors and put cool shaders on it and all that good stuff. It's all like through the marketplace. It's kind of strict, kind of like the Apple App Store, where they are pretty. There's like a huge quality control. Although that's like fine because it's like applications that people are putting out, but like in terms of a game, I don't know. I think I forgot the last part. Is this room? Yeah. Just gotta finish it here. Then we're gonna be almost done. We are 30 minutes in. 37 minutes to be exact. Might be a little shorter on your guys' end once I edit out the beginning. Okay, so that's right, I wanted to do this. There we go. Cool. All right, so we got that taken care of. Then let's go down to here. We'll worry about the corners once we get the short ends of the field done. Kind of want to get these long ends done first before I really have to deal with that. And by corners, I mean once we get there, that is. By that I mean, you know, finishing this ceiling tile, like to fill this area and kind of give this area proper lighting. We'll wait until we're done getting this all fixed and like all that good stuff. Okay. We went to here. Oops. Alright, same thing. This. Alright. Now I'm going to do the same thing downstairs from last episode. Which is right here. Cool. So, out here we go. Oh wait, no. We have to go down one more. Here we go. So easy to get lost. Just because of how effed up this is. At least I was smart enough and I put this stripe in. So we just need to break that. And then we just need to go all the way down here. and break this. There we go. Alright, and that's it for this episode. Kind of want to see something though. After every episode, I kind of come out here and like look at it, but don't really get a good idea of what we've been working on for so long because of we've basically just been putting in walls and lights. So let's do time set. See what it looks like. So it looks pretty good. It's actually lit up on the inside. Finally got lights. Alright. Well, that does it for this episode. Be sure to check out the next episode when it comes out, and previous episodes if you would like to follow along. Let's walk in through the lobby. Still looks good. Oh wait, no, what am I doing? I'm gonna copy what we did on this side on the other side, so I will see you when I'm done that. Alright, so we're back. And we're on the side we started on today. If you go up, let's go up here, look in, you can kind of see where we actually canned it all. Let me just break this glass because this is such a huge place. Finding a door would take forever. This is the place we worked on, but if we go over here to the opposite side of the field, you will find that the same exact interior we've been working on is also on this side now. Just mirrored it. Obviously not going to build it twice, as I've said countless times. Don't want to build the same thing twice and have you guys have to sit through both of it. But transferred over quite nicely, nothing crazy. This is the floor we still have to work on, unfortunately. That's like the last thing we have to do aside from the short end of the field on these two floors. So yep, this has been part 46 of the Let's Build a Stadium series. Let's see if we can end it at 50. Hopefully under 50, honestly. It might be like 49, which might be, I might add in an extra episode just to, so my head doesn't hurt from the, like, so I won't feel like I held in a sneeze not reaching it to 50. But yeah, this has been part 46, or 40, yeah, 46, right? I've lost track. I think it's 46. Let's Build a Stadium series. Be sure to check out the next episode when it comes out, and the previous episodes if you would like to follow along. And other than that, this has been Colonial Puppet. Have a nice day.